For this video, we will go over more exponential expressions, and I want to introduce to you the concept of inverses and what they are. So let's get started. Our first problem is 5xy squared parentheses to the power of 2. So when the exponent is applied to the entire parentheses, you multiply the exponent to each one of these powers. You don't add them. So what does that look like? So it becomes 5 squared x squared y, 2 times 2 is 4, and you get 25x squared y to the 4th power. Similarly, for our second problem, 2x parentheses 6x squared y cubed to the power square, power 2. So 2x remains outside because it's not being applied. This power of 2 is not applying to that, so leave that alone. 6 squared x, 2 times 2 is 4, and then y to the 6th power. And here you just combine like terms. 2 times 6 squared x times x to the 4th y 6, and then you get, let's start calculating. 6 squared is 36. 36 times 2 is 72, and then this is you add up the power. This is x to the power of 1, x to the 5th, y to the 6th, and that's your answer. Our next problem is I want to introduce the concept of inverse. So here we have parentheses 2x to the power of negative 2. So when a teacher first teaches you this, they're simply just going to tell you flip it over 1 and get rid of the negative sign. That's all they're going to tell you. And I'm going to explain you why we are able to do this kind of movement. Note here, an inverse x to the negative 1 is such that x times x inverse is equal to 1. So what that means is some number x times its inverse will always equal to 1. And these are some examples. So 2 times x inverse is equal to 1. So what is the inverse of 2? The inverse of 2 is 1/2. 2 times 1/2 is equal to 1. 3 times 1/3 is equal to 1. So similarly, x times 1 over x is equal to 1 because you can cancel out the x. That is why we can do this flipping movement right here, because of the concept of inverses. You know, when it's an inverse, you can flip it and get rid of the negative sign. So let's continue working. 1 over 2 squared is 4, and then x squared, and that's our answer starting from that. So our next problem, same thing. So before we start flipping, let's multiply them out first. So 3 to the power of negative 3, x to the power of negative 3, y to the power of negative 6, 2 times negative 3, negative 6. So again, you can flip everything and get rid of the negative sign. So bring the y to the top, y to the 6, 3 to the power of 3, x to the power of 3. So your answer is y to the 6, 3 to the power of 3 is 27, x to the power of 3, and that's your final answer from that. And our final problem is a big problem, and you should try to get comfortable doing these kind of big problems, and it really teaches you how to be careful when solving math problems, and it will greatly improve your skills and concentration. So let's get to it. our first parenthesis, so it's going to be 8. Well, I'm just going to calculate it out. 8 squared is 64. X, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Y to the power of 10, 5 times 2. And for our second one, since this is a negative power, let's multiply it after we do all the flipping. So 4 to the negative 3, x to the negative 9, and y is negative 1 times negative 3 is a positive 3. So now we can do the flipping. So 64 stays on top. X go to the bottom. Y stays on top. 4 to the negative 3 goes on the bottom as a positive. X to the negative 9 go on the bottom as a positive, and y to the 3 stays on top. So simplify. Let's bring this out. 4 to the third power is 64. So 64 down here. Let me write this down. And 4 to the third power is 64. X to the fourth. X to the ninth. Wait, X. Well, I'm a bit confused. X to 4, X to 9. Okay. So that equals to 64. Add them together. 13. 64. X to the 13. You can cancel 64 out, and your final answer is y to the 13 over x to the 13. As you can see, we derive to this simple answer from this mess right here. And I know it's a long process, but that's mathematics for you. So it's not that hard. You just have to double check your work and do it carefully. That's all.